What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Guilty as Charged podcast. My name is Steven, and I am your host as always. And joining me is my guy Tyler. Tyler, what's up, man? How you doing tonight?
Doing very well, man. That was a treat. Well done, Chargers.
Yes, big bravo, golf clap, standing ovation to Andrew Cordoba in particular, and the rest of the Chargers social media team. A rare sequel that was better than the original, in my opinion. We'll dive into all of the Easter eggs tonight, but you guys in the chat, man, let us know what was your favorite part of the the diss track, if you will, done by the Chargers social media. We'll dive into all of our favorite parts tonight, and then we're also going to go through the actual football stuff, the nitty gritty of the Chargers schedule. I mean, obviously, we've known for months who the Chargers were going to be playing. Now we have the actual schedule. We have the amount of primetime games. So we'll be talking about all of that. But yeah, let us know in the chat what your favorite part of the Chargers video release was. Tyler, what was your favorite part of the video release?
There were so many things to go off of that I was starting to take pictures and screenshots of things. And when it got to the, oh my gosh, the Raiders disc one, I was just taking a picture of the ticket because I was just taking a picture of it to take a picture of it. And then suddenly a QR code popped up. And I'm like, why did no one talk about this yet? I feel like I was on some weird secret. And so I clicked that and then went to it and then saying, if you're a Raiders fan, click here. And just to bring up the job search and how to get a job thing as the link, I thought was fantastic. I think that the Urban Meyer last year was pretty good. And obviously the redacted one for the Houston Texans one, that was excellent. But I think, wall to wall, it felt like the stronger diss track this year from the Chargers. So I think that Raiders one, kind of just finding that one out by surprise, was a lot of fun and my favorite part for sure.
Yeah, I saw a couple people talking about there being a QR code, and I went back through it. I'm like, okay, where's this QR code at? And then I realized where it was and what happened to it. So it was incredible, man. I think the amount of shade they throw at the Raiders each year is awesome. The creativity to put a QR code into a scheduled release video that's already super creative with like an anime theme to it. That was a lot of fun, man, and they ratcheted it up to 1,000 today. This was a fantastic schedule release. People pointing out the Lions one with the gambling line, that was really funny. Amazing. That was really clever. The the screenshot that was my favorite though was the Jets one, the New York Times themed one. Obviously, the shade to Zach Wilson and the Cougars, and then also you see Trey Young in the bottom here, and instead of I love New York, it says I love New Jersey up top. And so the amount of shade that like the Jets, who I don't know, the Chargers and Jets don't really have a ton of beef or history or anything like that. But
yeah,
the amount of shade that was in that specific screenshot was super fun for me.
So good. I love looking through any of them. I mean, even in like last year's one, there was one about like the trash can one was like AB something, like a number or whatever. Like everything in this video is put in there with intention. So I mean, I can't wait to go back through it more and more and more, get some of the actual anime references that I did not get. There's so many surprises in this video. I love it. But yeah, that New York Jets one, just that screenshot. There's so much to look there. But yeah, the Cougar one was pretty darn good.
Yeah, I don't know anime super well, so I at all really. So I don't understand all the references to that. And there were people messaging me saying like, oh, like this was awesome here and this was awesome there, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take your word for it. One of the ones that I do think is super underrated though in that video was the Dak Prescott one.
Yeah,
they have him reading a tweet of like Dak Prescott threw 2 interceptions or whatever, and then a bus running this Dak Prescott version over, and it says content team on top, and then Stephen A. Smith is in the background there laughing it up. So I think that one is going to be one of the ones that kind of gets cast off by the wayside because everything else is so great, but that one was an underrated troll for me.
Yeah, the content team roasting another content team for throwing their quarterback under the bus. And like we had never seen that. That's not something you see these days. Not with your quarterback. It was such a weird thing for them to post.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that somebody addressed that because that was a pretty good one too.
Yeah, the amount of homework that the Chargers social media team does on a regular basis is amazing, right? But the amount of homework that they did for this one in particular was so cool. I mean, like there's that part of that jet screenshot. There's like a little video up top, like under the cougar part, where there's like a girl dancing, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I don't understand that reference. And then I googled it, and it was like the video the Jets tweeted out in response to like the cougar rumors of Zach Wilson last summer, and it just like the video, everybody, it just kind of bombed, and everybody was like, what are you doing? This is ridiculous. And so
Yeah.
the amount of homework that they do is all throughout it. Like the Ravens one where they have the mascot in the wheelchair.
I
I
didn't get
had
that
I had
one.
no idea that, because the Ravens mascot got like injured at a game last year.
Oh, I remember that. Okay.
So
Okay.
I was like, why is the Ravens mascot in a wheelchair? I don't understand that
Yeah.
one. And then you had to go
Yeah.
look, and so there's little nuggets of that like all throughout. You're like, okay, what does this mean? And then you Google it and you're like, oh my gosh, like no other social media team is doing stuff like this.
No. And then for Lamar's contract, they have Ken Francis and then like a line
Yeah.
as an agent. I mean, just so good. I can't. I want to be a fly on a wall in that room as they just roast. Like I want to know honestly what they didn't include because it was too far. Like I know, I'm sure they pushed some things and some things couldn't be out there. I would love to know what's on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, I mean, when you're doing a roast in general, like you have to like talk about like, okay, where's this line
Yeah.
and how do we not cross it? Because like Miguel
Right.
just pointed out, I mean, they had a thing of Mike McDaniel's vaping to start it off. I
Yeah.
was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna go
Yeah.
hard as hell today.
Mhm. Yeah, that was a surprise. And I don't know what the creature was behind him. Someone will have to tell me. Okay, one I definitely did not get were the birds in Minnesota. I don't think they were birds specifically. I'm like, are they fleas hitting the building? I wasn't really sure what that was. So if someone knows what that is, let me know because that's the only one I just flat out didn't get.
Yeah, Brett Coleman said they were birds, and it was like hilarious to him, and I was like, okay, but why? I don't understand that one.
Yeah, I must
Uh,
have missed that one.
Teresa pointing out the Bears one. Did you notice the top left part of the Build-A-Bear one?
I skimmed through it. I don't recall what it was.
Okay. So way back in the day, Mitch Trubisky like sent out a tweet, and it was like, I love sucking titties or something like that. And if you look at the bear that is Mitch,
Yeah.
he's like making a sucking face.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That one I didn't know. That's funny. Jeez. I was looking at everything else. I'm like, okay, yeah, Build-A-Bear because they have to rebuild
Yeah.
the team. Haha. Okay. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I didn't see that one. Wow.
So apparently the US Bank Stadium is super reflective and birds die hitting it all the time. That's kind of sad. I love the banners though. The banners that they have like with Kirk Cousins, and it's like Justin Jefferson, Rookie of the Year, runner up.
To who?
Yeah, who won that year? That's some guy named Justin Herbert. Yeah, T-Clips,
man.
Jinx, same time.
Mhm.
The Chiefsaholic super fan that is in prison right now. That was a good one with
Yeah.
Pat McAfee in the second one.
Mhm. Yeah, I got a little Mina Kimes in there again. Who else made their
There was a
celebrity?
Shannon Sharp, Skip Bayless
Yeah.
appearance as well. Oh wow! Kyle Tucker says the U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis kills more than 100 birds each year, making the home field of the Minnesota Vikings one of the city's most dangerous buildings for bird collision. I did not know that. I had never heard of that until today.
I mean, that makes sense. I just said, yeah, I had never heard of that. So that's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of funny, but it's dark humor funny.
Teen Titans, Derek Cyborg, Derek Cameron. That was a good one too.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you could go through each screenshot and just find
Yeah.
a ton of hilarious stuff. So a part that I think is really exciting, the ending where the Chargers have the like platform of all the different kind of uniforms, and then they zoom in on the Navy with the Navy helmets, because obviously you can do alternate helmets, man. We're getting Navy helmets this year. That would be so good. I would love to see which game they would do that for. But they are going to crush the alternate helmet if they do it this year.
The alternate helmet, man, like that's gonna end up behind me. I don't know what I'm gonna move, but it's gonna be there. If they're going Navy or whatever it is, I don't know. But yeah, just finishing out that Navy helmet, and it was LT, right? As the person in the helmet too. It's like those uniforms, but like I do love the Chargers uniforms, but there's a certain San Diego Chargers era with powder blues that they had as well, and some throwback ones, and those Navy ones. Those are my all-time favorites. So if they go with that navy and a little bit more throwback, oof,
Yeah, and I like it
nice.
too because then you could do navy white as
Mm,
opposed to just like all navy. They could do all navy, and I think it would look super clean too. But they've kind of done the all navy thing for the last few years. I think having a navy white would look super clean.
mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's kind of feel like how I remember more. Yeah, because that's what the Chargers had. They would go navy and white pants, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but they would always have a white helmet.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I can't wait to buy that. Whatever it is, I hope it's less than $500. So I can buy it, but we'll see.
Trying to hold in a sneeze right there.
Oh,
That was fun. I don't have allergies, and today I had pretty bad allergies, so I don't know what's going on today.
transmitted through the microphone. I apologize.
So people were pointing this out too, that this the end scene there, it is some kind of specific anime reference too. And then all the Chargers players that are there are like legends. Like you see Lance Allworth, you see Kellen Winslow, you see Seau, you see Rivers, Gates. I think Charlie Joyner's in there too. And then obviously LT is the one that they zoom in on. So it could be nothing, but I feel like the emphasis of like going right on that navy white look, and then also like you see the side angle of just the helmet. I think it's a clear teaser of the alternate helmet, in my opinion.
Yeah. It has to be. Like they don't leave that there for no reason. If it weren't that, you would close on Herbert or I don't know, just something different.
Right.
Like last year it was just Herbert growing up and that was the end. So it's got to be something. Whatever it is, it's going to be awesome. And hopefully it's a better motivator than whatever the surprise was last year before the Jags game.
Yeah.
Was it Jordan cleats or something? Jordan logo?
It was just that all of the players would wear black cleats in honor of the Bulls teams that Brandon Staley grew up idolizing.
Great.
Yeah, they were like, they're going to do something cool. And we were like, people were like, is Philip Rivers coming back? And then it just turned out that they were wearing black shoes.
Yeah.
So don't ever wear black shoes again.
Or just take them off at halftime.
Yeah, literally. Okay, so External Use says the last scene is a reference from My Hero Academia. The scene in the show is all the consciousness of past heroes coming back to help the current one. That's really cool.
That is really cool.
If you're super into anime, I need you to like send me links of these specific references on Twitter so I can understand that part of it.
Yeah, let's hit up the Chargers and just have them like get us in contact with an anime person.
Dude, the amount of work that this would have taken, and it sounds like it was all like one person. Like it's all Andrew Cordova doing this animation. Like,
yeah,
this is crazy, man. This is like, 8 seasons of an anime show. Like, this is crazy work by him.
Yeah, and incredible. Seriously, the work that they put in, it's just so layered. Like even if you did an anime drop of this, normally you could just have like, oh, there's this quick reference and the Titans, and then this quick reference and the Bills or whatever. But everything's so layered because then you go in and you can tell they spent more time just putting the little details in. It's amazing.
Yeah, honestly, this is a really good idea by people in the chat. We'll see. I'll message Andrew on Twitter and we can see if we can arrange something with him to kind of dive into that.
I would love that. I would love that.
Super fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done something similar, right? Like we had Danny Hoyt on the show to kind of dive into like the stuff that happens like during a game.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. Well,
we can get Tom Telesco. We'll see if we can get the social media team. They might be more stingy. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Before we dive into the Chargers' actual football games here, I do also want to say the Tennessee Titans had a killer reveal as well with the random people, in the street where they didn't know, like they had to guess the logos. That was a good one. I saw the Commanders had a really funny reveal as well. By far the worst one I saw today was the Cardinals. It was literally just like,
of course,
it was literally Kyler Murray and Marquise Brown just like playing catch, and then Kyler threw a football at a camera. And then like the camera breaks and it's like, here's our schedule. It was like 30 seconds long. That was it.
That's on brand.
Yeah.
I watched the Broncos one before we got on. It was just like an Office Broncos crossover.
There were a few of those this year.
didn't smile a single time watching that one for the Broncos. And that's not because they're rivals or anything. I just didn't think it was funny.
No.
The Titans one was really, really funny, except it's a ripoff of someone else who already did that before.
Oh,
That's how the Chargers got their sharp bananas.
yeah.
Because someone had their dad go through and like name all the teams.
Oh, yeah. The TikTok video. I've seen that one.
Yeah. So the Chargers with the sharp bananas. What were we in this one?
It was like the Lightning something.
Yeah. So it was.
Oh,
really
Lightning
funny.
McQueen. They said Lightning McQueen.
Yeah. And the responses were funny. And I love how like sure people were that was the Cowboys.
I know,
like,
2 times.
Cowboys, and then Colts both times. So that was funny.
Yeah. And then the one random lady was like, the Pirates from the Caribbean. It's like, what?
Rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So just wanted to give some shout outs there.
Yeah.
All right. So let's start with these primetime games, man. Chargers obviously getting 6 primetime games this year. I don't know if I really count the 6th one because they're playing it exclusively on Peacock. It's not necessarily like a prime. Like, to me, primetime also means that it's on like TV, like so people can watch it. So Chargers have 5.5, let's call it primetime games. Obviously starting with the Dallas Cowboys. Let me make sure I get the whole list up here properly. Should have had this done beforehand. My bad. My apologies. Okay, so 6 primetime games for the Chargers, which is tied for the most in the league. If you count the Bills game or not on Peacock. So Week 6 at home against the Cowboys, Monday Night Football. Week 8 home against the Bears, Sunday Night Football. Week 9 at Jets, Monday Night Football. Week 12 versus Ravens, Sunday Night Football. Week 15 at Raiders, Thursday Night Football. Week 16 versus Bills on Peacock, exclusively on Peacock. So, Tyler, what are your takeaways from the primetime slate here?
Yeah, that Bills one really threw me off because that was released a little bit earlier today, and I'm like, I mean, I'm going to be at the game, so it doesn't really matter. But the fact that people, like, I feel like fans would be so stubborn that they'll just spend $400 to go to the game rather than subscribe to Peacock. Like, I think people are just going to do that instead. But I love that they got 5.5 or 6 primetime games. I wasn't sure, because it sounded like some other teams were going to get. Doesn't the Packers have like 5 or something ridiculous? So I wasn't sure like who's going to lose at 4. So who's going to lose out here? But clearly not the Chargers. They want the Chargers on primetime, and I get it. Every single game on primetime is really freaking good, whoever you're playing. So I can't wait to see the Chargers do this. I don't know who decided Bears Sunday Night Football was a good one.
Yeah.
But hey, a good, hopefully, knock on wood, beat down of the Bears on primetime will be good. Got to destroy a bear now that we've built a bear. But Cowboys, I think that's a lot of fun, honestly. Cowboys at primetime is a ton of fun. They're all really good. And I love that these primetime games, 4 of them are at home. You have the Cowboys one at home, the Bears one at home, the Ravens one at home, and the Bills one at home. And those are really tough matchups. So you're going to get to see the Chargers play some really, really good teams and the Bears at home on primetime.
Yeah, I mean, even the Bears, though, like they'll be a tough matchup because Justin Fields could probably run for 100 yards that game on his own. But yeah, this primetime slate is a little surprising. I mean, the Chiefs game could certainly get flexed into primetime in the last week of the season. The league's kind of leaving that part open to it. I kind of figured Cowboys and Bills would be primetime. Again, Bills on Peacock, whatever. I was definitely surprised at the Jets because Chargers Jets, again, there's not really like a ton of history there. They haven't had like a ton of moments against Aaron Rodgers. I figured the league would kind of lean in towards like who Aaron Rodgers kind of has some like rivalries with and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of random, but similar to last year, the Chargers have like a 3-week stretch in the middle of the season where they're on primetime games a lot. And then they close the season on primetime as well. So this primetime slate is really good, man. If you're a fan like me who has never been to a home game during primetime, I mean, there's 4 this year. So you're going to get 4 night games this year, which is going to be incredible. I know that there's people who have to travel and people who stay up late and stuff like that. But this is an exciting stuff, man. I mean, like basically 40% of the Chargers home games this year are on primetime. So you're going to get a lot of SoFi Stadium at night. We know that the Cowboys fans are going to travel. We know that the Bills fans are going to travel because the Bills game is 2 days before Christmas. So better show up to those games.
Oh boy. Attendance was a lot better last year, but I feel like there was so much hope. But we'll see. The Cowboys game is not till week 6, so the Chargers have
Yeah.
some weeks to build that momentum. I mean, I really think, and we'll talk about this, it starts week 1. You win that game, I think everyone starts buying their tickets and buys into the season. You lose, and I'll be by myself at the Cowboys game, with my dad at least. But yeah, a lot of really good ones here, and a lot of variety to these games too. I think last year was what Broncos,
It was
Chiefs,
you
and
had
Raiders
3
all
division
on prime
games. Yeah.
time. Yeah, so I mean, get to see the Bills, you get to see the Ravens on prime time, get to see the Bears and the Cowboys. Like that's not really what the Chargers ever get to do. So that's
Yeah.
actually a lot of fun there.
Yeah, traditionally the Chargers get a lot of primetime games against divisional opponents. Again, they get the Raiders. They might get the Chiefs at the very end of the season, but I mean, 2 NFC teams, 2 teams that are, 2 NFC teams that they don't play a whole lot. Don't play the Jets a whole lot. So this is gonna be this is a really fun primetime slate. I was a little nervous because there are all these leaks happening today, right? And it was like, okay, the only one we really heard about early in the day was Chargers and Jets on primetime, and then the Bills one came out like right before the schedule release, and I was like, are we gonna get like 2 primetime games this year? Like maybe 3?
Right.
So to end up with 6, man, like that's huge. And as somebody who doesn't get to watch every Chargers game because I live out of the market, which is ridiculous because I live 3 hours away from Los Angeles, having 6 primetime games for me is a treat because it means I get to watch more games than I would if they were not on primetime.
Yeah, and please, Chargers fans, go. I'm not just saying just go to go. I mean, like these primetime games, those night games, it's nothing like I've ever been to for any Chargers game. I haven't been to all 3 stadiums. It's just different. And if you think the atmosphere is really cool during the day, and it is, watch what happens at night. Like 2 years ago when we got to go, my dad and I got to go watch the Raiders game. Sorry, the Chargers Raiders game, but the Raiders game because they were playing. And lightning struck the Oculus, and there was a thunderstorm and a lightning storm, and the Chargers won in prime time against the Raiders. Like, go watch that. Go experience that. It's going to be good. And other than maybe the Bears game, because I don't know how they travel, unless it's cheaper and Chargers fans show up.
Bears fans travel.
Do
Bears
they?
fans
Okay.
travel. Yeah.
It's going to be packed then. I mean, regardless, it's SoFi Stadium. If you haven't been there, go. And if you've been there during the day, you're going to love it at night. I would spend twice as much money just to watch games at night easily.
Yeah, we bought tickets early for Chargers Rams last year, and that was supposed to be a primetime game. And then obviously it got flexed out. Still a really fun game. Chargers, that was like the one blowout I can remember in the last few years for the Chargers. That was that was a lot of fun. Sat next to you and Arjun, obviously. But yeah, primetime games are it's electric because the Chargers, like if you think that their like social media production is good, their game time production is insane. And like the amount of videos and attention getters and like just everything that they put out on game day is incredible. And like that's what we should expect, right? Like this is the best social media production team in the league. Like why would it be any different? So I'm hopeful to get out to a primetime game this year. The Bills one being right before Christmas, that's a possibility for me. We'll see about the other ones. So yeah, definitely would encourage everybody to go to a primetime game if you haven't been this year. You have 4 chances this year, 4 of them.
Yeah.
All right, Tyler. What's outside of the primetime games or including the primetime games, what would you say is your most intriguing home game?
Ooh, most intriguing. I mean, I don't know where to begin. There's so many of them that are so intriguing because I have so many questions. It does kind of start week 1 though, because you have what we saw before. It's the first time we're going to see this Kellen Moore offense, so that's intriguing as is. The Dolphins have upgraded. Now they've got Vic Fangio as their defensive coordinator. And I think to a certain extent, I don't know how many times the Chargers play the Dolphins on that primetime game they did last year and win out of 10. I really don't know. But it just seemed like that particular game, the Chargers kind of had their number overall and definitely on defense. That was really, we had seen him be really good all year, but outside of tripping, that was almost like the Michael Davis, like, okay, he can actually really freaking do this game. Yeah. Because other than the one time where he tripped, he was outstanding. So I would say Dolphins for me. But then again, the Ravens, like Last time we saw the Chargers play the Ravens kicked the snot out of them. That was one of the most frustrating games I've ever watched.
Yeah,
So that one's intriguing in a way. The Bills, because we have Herbert versus Allen. The Chiefs is always intriguing. But to me, I really think the most intriguing one is week 1 against the Dolphins, because I don't know what this team's going to look like. We need to see Kellen Moore's offense for the first time. And I need to see Brandon Staley's defense do a repeat. Everyone's talking about the scheme that he had against the Dolphins. And it was true. There are not many games last year where I can look at and say, wow, okay, Brandon Staley's defense took care of business, and they didn't just out-talent them, they legitimately seemed to out-scheme the Dolphins that game. And so I would love to see them do that again. And if the Chargers can start that game with a win, I'm looking at the next 3 games and thinking, yeah, they can win those games. They lose that one, then it's more 50-50.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good call. Mike McDaniel has heard a lot of talk about Brandon Staley having his number and providing a blueprint to stop his offense and all this stuff, right? So I think Mike McDaniel is going to come to that game ready to maybe show some things to Brandon Staley that they have not put on film before. So that's going to be a game where Brandon Staley defensively is going to have to really bring his A game. The Bills game to me is going to be so much fun. This is really going to be the first time that we'll see like real Justin Herbert versus real Josh Allen, because the end of that season when he was a rookie, like that, I don't know how much I count that game. I mean, that was the Bills sacked him like 6 times that day. Like it was just really ugly. They had the quarterback sneak with like
Awful.
7 seconds left when his offensive line was pass protecting. So that was just a game where the Chargers were really outmatched. And this is going to be like prime time Justin Herbert, prime time Josh Allen. I think that has the makings for a huge shootout. I think this is the first time Brandon Staley will be playing against Josh Allen as well. So just like sheer entertainment value, I think that one is going to be a good one. Cowboys are always fun, but there's that extra Kellen Moore versus Mike McCarthy element this year. And again, we know the Cowboys fans are going to travel well, so that one's a great matchup at home, I think, too.
Yeah, the Cowboys, look, Trey Pipkins started off and finished really well last year, but that training camp matchup that they had, where I had Parsons and Lawrence versus Pipkins, was one of the most lopsided things I've ever seen. They were incredible. Now, I think Pipkins now would fare much better, but in that moment at training camp, I was genuinely worried. So I would love to see how they hold up this time around. The idea of having Parsons, who was picked, 15th for the Cowboys?
He was 12th. He was right before Slater.
Okay, yeah. So that's what I want to see, is those 2 picks pretty close to each other. The All-Pro there, the All-Pro here against each other. Guys who could do that and be All-Pros for the next few years. That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, Parsons is pretty deliberate against like really good tackles. Like when they played the Niners, he didn't even bother going to the right side. He was like, I just want all of Trent Williams, which interesting choice. I think I would rather go against the other guy and put up more stats. So I think we're going to see a lot of Slater versus Parsons in that game. I think we'll get a ton of great battles there.
That's fun.
And Rashawn Slater looks so good, man. He's going to light it up this year in year 3. So yeah, that's that one. Most intriguing road game, Tyler, I think for me, just really quickly, JC Jackson maybe stoking a little fire against the Patriots, a little revenge game. I think that would be super fun. At Packers, again, this is a game that the Chargers get to play like once every 10 years. So I don't know if the Packers are going to be good. I don't think they're going to be as bad as people think either. Like they still have a lot of talent on defense. They added some good talent on offense. They have Aaron Jones. They have a good offensive line. Like Matt LaFleur is a good offensive coach. So I don't think the Packers are going to be as bad as people think. So that's a game that I think maybe some Chargers fans would kind of circle as an automatic win. And I don't agree with that. So I think the Packers, and playing at Lambeau Field in November, that's always a tough task, especially for a California team. So at Green Bay, I think is a game that might classify for, I don't want to say a trap game because the Packers might be good, but a game that people might underestimate a little bit more.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it could be. We'll know by then what the Packers are. Are they even still on the quarterback?
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
So that's definitely an intriguing one. To me, it's really at Patriots. Outside of at Chiefs and at Broncos, which are, again, division games, we're always worried. But that at Patriots game as the 10 a.m. Eastern game, as the after the Ravens Sunday Night Football primetime game, Chargers have a late Sunday and they have an early Sunday the next week against the Patriots. And I don't remember the last time they played the Patriots and I was happy when they also had their starting quarterback. Like, I know they beat them, but it's been a bit. They're probably still wearing those Navy jerseys. And
no Navy that game, please. No.
That's right. Oh no, that's right. What are they? 0-2
again. Is that right? They haven't won in the new Navies yet?
I think they haven't won in the Navies, and they're 5-1 or something in the Color Rush or something. The Color Rush, I think they have good luck in.
Yeah.
But
I don't think they've won the Color Rush on the road though. I think they have. They've done Navy on the road because I remember they did it at Buffalo. But they have not had a great history against the Patriots.
Yeah, Scott Childs. Last time they beat New England was 2008, and again, I'm pretty sure Brady wasn't playing that game because Rivers never beat Brady.
That sounds like the Matt Castle game. Matt Castle year, I mean.
Yeah. So I don't remember the last time the Chargers actually beat the Patriots with their starting quarterback. Not that that should matter, but until the Chargers beat the Patriots, like, I might not pick them to win that game. We'll see what happens when we get there. But they just,
and that's in is that December or is that
so that's in Foxborough, December 3rd.
That might be a freezing cold game too.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, we're not facing Tom Brady this time, but we've seen other things happen too. And it wasn't so hot.
Yeah. I mean, listen, man, you look at the Patriots roster and I get it. They have a questionable quarterback situation, but they've got a lot of good pieces, and particularly on defense, man. That defense is going to be nasty. I mean, it's Bill Belichick. He's going to cook up some things this year. So, the Patriots and the Steelers are both in that same boat where it's people are really counting them out, but they're in it every single year to the final stretch. So I have very hard time with at New England games. A lot of bad memories on that field.
At New England in December. After playing the Ravens. So we've seen them play the Ravens, then the Patriots. That goes well. Yeah.
All right, Tyler. Toughest stretch for you. Let's say toughest 4-game stretch. Which 4 would you say?
It's got to be the last 4. Maybe I could divvy it up into other ones, but that to me, at Raiders, Chargers lost there both times the last couple of years. They've been in it's a Prime Video stream. Anyway, at Raiders, haven't won there for whatever reason. Bills is very, very tough. At Broncos, again, still have not won a legitimately meaningful game there in a long time. And then Chiefs, that's a rough. It's not even necessarily the Raiders and the Broncos are teams that I'm super worried about. There are better teams on their schedule. But having to travel to Vegas, which has not gone well for them so far, having to travel to Denver, which never seems to go well for them, that's really, really tough. So it's more environment at that point. And they could do some damage, and it's a division rival. So Raiders, Bills, Broncos, Chiefs, with the 2 away games there, that sounds pretty rough to me.
Yeah, and we've seen the Chargers not really be able to close the season as well as they probably should have. Obviously, they went 4-0 in 2020, but a lot, 2 of those games didn't really matter a whole lot. Man, that's a tough 4 games. I mean, you get arguably the 2 best teams in the league with the Bills and the Chiefs, sandwiched in between 2 road games at Raiders and at Broncos. So the good news is for the Bills game, you get kind of because it's not Thursday to Sunday, so it's not the full mini bye that people talk about, but you do have some extra days. It's not like you're going to be traveling on a short week, so the Bills will have to travel to the Chargers on a short week, which is maybe a little bit advantage for us. At Denver, man, I keep telling people this. It's the Broncos suck. It's yeah, but what's the Chargers' history at Denver to give you any confidence that they'll win that game?
Yep. Again, There was one game where they could basically sit their starters. It didn't matter. They won that game. Otherwise, they haven't won since Keenan Allen hurdled someone in his rookie year. It's been a bit.
That long? My gosh.
It's been that long. And again, they won in 2018, but it didn't really matter by that point. 2013 was the last time they won. And they always lose in these weird ways. Like there's that deep pass interference call on Hayward last year with Russell Wilson destroying the Chargers defense because the Chargers, they weren't trying. And then, then the
year before that, it was Herbert's arguably worst game of 2021.
That was bad.
2 interceptions, had the pick
that was
six.
Bad. That was the Senio Calamete game.
Yes.
Yeah. The worst. That was the Darius Bradwell game too, where he decided to activate him and then he dropped his only pass. Good stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. The final 4 games is tough, man. I mean, we're gonna learn a ton about the Chargers in the last 2 months of the season. Like, basically from week 9 on, man, this is a tough schedule. So, I mean, the Chargers have a week 5 bye this year, which sucks. I hate having byes that early, especially with 17 games. But from week 9, you're talking about at Jets, home against the Lions, at Packers, home against the Ravens, at Patriots, home against the Broncos, at Raiders, home against the Bills, at Broncos, home against the Chiefs. That's a tough schedule. So it is absolutely paramount that the Chargers get off to a hot start to the season, because that final 10 games right there, that's tough. That's a really tough back half of the schedule.
Yeah, and those first 4 games, Dolphins, Titans, Vikings, Raiders, like that almost seems to be like the easiest part of their schedule, and it's not. It's not easy at all. It's the easiest part, maybe, because there's so many question marks there. But like, you gotta go 3-1 in that stretch, or 4-0, because you gotta find a couple games later on, a cold game in New England, the at Broncos game. You gotta find some games to be able to give later on. It's almost like the Chargers with the Atlanta game, where they had to win that game. They just had to win that game so they could lose another one because everyone was hurt, but guys were coming back. So yeah, tough group of teams for sure.
Yeah. Even a game like against the Lions are going to be really good this year, man.
Really good.
I mean, they got selected to open the season against the Chiefs. Like, the NFL thinks that the Lions are going to be good. And I think the Lions think they're going to be good. I mean, I don't think they draft a running back and a linebacker in the first round. They didn't feel like they were, right there on the doorstep. So the Lions were, I think, the second most efficient offense in the league last year, and that's with Jared Goff at quarterback. So, that's gonna be a tough matchup. I mean, that's a game for me. Like, that's a typical, like, Steven's really interested in that game kind of day, because the Lions are just fun.
They're fun, and Penei Sewell, man.
Like they'd 100% throw the ball to Penei Sewell against the Chargers, and Penei will go score just to spite it. Although I don't know if you saw the video of the Rashawn Slater scoring a touchdown on the fumble recovery on Madden that the Chargers posted.
Yeah,
they better throw it to Rashawn this year, man. I would love to see that this year.
Yeah, they got to throw it to him. They'll have a big man touchdown this year. I don't know who it's going to be. Again, people think it's probably Matlock. Could be Slater. I don't think it would be Trey. It's got to be Rashawn. He's got a 9.96 or whatever RAS. Like, give him the football and see what happens.
Yeah, 100%. That was kind of like the last point I wanted to cover here, Tyler. Anything else that you want to talk about in terms of specific, like, stretch of the season? Or there's not a ton of bad teams on the Chargers schedule this year.
Right.
So I don't think there's like a real, like, trap game. Like, maybe the Packers, but we don't really know. Like, they might be good, they might be bad.
Mm-hmm. The only thing I want to talk about, which people are a bit worried about, is that week 5 bye, which that's the earliest I can remember the Chargers having a bye. But I could be wrong. But week 5 is obviously very early regardless. I think there's one silver lining to that, and I think that's the players that are recovering from injuries who will just need that extra week, perhaps, to get onto the field. Maybe there are guys like J.C. Jackson, Otito Agbonia, Austin Johnson, who
That's a good point.
Might need that Raiders game to get some reps in. Then you've got the bye. Then you go primetime against the Cowboys, and then at Chiefs. Like, I think there are guys like J.C. Jackson who, I mean, like he's saying he's going to pick off Mac Jones, and that's week 13. So I think he's
Yeah.
pretty confident he's going to be back at a pretty early point this season, I would believe. So I think that extra bye does help. With that said, that's a horrible spot for a bye. I don't know what a good spot is, but I'm pretty sure it's not week 5 for the most part. That is early for a Chargers team that cannot stay healthy.
I think with 17 games, I think week 5 is the earliest you can have a bye, if I'm not mistaken.
Crazy.
I know in the past you could have a bye in week 4, and it's like, you play 3 games.
What's
I don't want to bye right
Yeah.
here. So the worst times to have a bye are obviously the early times, right? Like week 4 or 5. And then there are teams who will have a bye in like week 14, which is just like ridiculous. At that point, it's like, what is the point of this? So, I mean, ideally you have a bye in like weeks 8 to 10-ish, maybe 7. So it being week 5 is tough. But I hadn't thought about that point that maybe Austin Johnson isn't ready to start the season. Maybe JC Jackson's not ready to start the season. And so having an early bye would be, an advantage for those players for sure.
Yeah. Do we know what the Chiefs' schedule is for their bye? I just want to know.
I can look.
I'm scrolling through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Week 10 bye. Love it. Good for them.
I need to look at their schedule.
They have a bye than the Eagles, which is a pretty fun one. But yeah, I'll have to look at their schedules as well. The one thing I have not done yet is pick the Chargers win-loss record, which I don't know if I want to do yet because I don't know who's healthy.
So Chiefs go Lions, at Jags, home against Bears, at Jets, at Vikings, home against Broncos, home against Chargers, at Broncos, Dolphins in Germany, which I think is super lame that they would take the Tyreek Hill return to Arrowhead Stadium away. Like you mentioned, bye week, Eagles, at Raiders, at Packers, home against the Bills, at Patriots, home against the Raiders, home against the Bengals, and then at Chargers.
Well, it's 13-4. Here they come.
Yeah. I mean, that's
every year.
They had the youngest defense in the league last year, and they were like a top 10 unit. So that's fun.
Have you seen their defense, man? Just looking at the guys they added, and the young guys that are jumping into year 2. Then you add, Uzama. Then you add, like Coburn's in there now. You add Drew Tranquil. It's actually really do like. I was looking through it, like, oh, this is actually kind of a good group, and that pairs with Patrick Mahomes. So we'll see.
I mean, their worst unit is probably their wide receiver group, and it's like, well, they have Patrick Mahomes to throw them the ball, and it doesn't matter last year at all.
Yeah, that's not fair. That's not fair at all. But
yeah,
AFC luck, I guess, for the Chargers.
Yeah. Lando pointing out strength of schedule is 16th. I think that's only if you use last year's win-loss total. I haven't seen any like implied strength of schedule in terms of like betting odds, like who Vegas thinks are going to be good teams. Have you seen anything that's maybe a little bit more accurate than last year's record?
No, I haven't looked into any of that. I honestly don't even know like how you would determine the strength of schedule to be that. Like, I guess the Jets and the Bears do that for you. But I mean, the Jets' strength of schedule going off of last year versus who they're going to be with Aaron Rodgers this year is very different. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I'm sure Arjun will know all the numbers.
I don't know if Arjun's in the chat. Arjun's last week at PFF this week. Excited to see his announcement. Tyler and I are aware of the announcement, and we're very excited to see what Arjun is able to do this summer.
It's not with us. It's not with the Chargers. So people keep asking that. I just want to say right there. It's not with us. It's not with the Chargers.
Yeah. Yeah. JLG says Warren Sharp has the Chargers as almost the toughest. I think I saw something where they were like 5th toughest or something like that. And that might be Warren Sharp, but
I don't see how it'd be easier than the Chiefs. I don't think, unless we're weighing away versus home or something.
Let's see if I can Google something.
Okay. I'll just talk to the chat. What's up, everybody? Angel's asking if Austin's getting signed or what. He is still on the team. He's 1 year left in his deal, but he could get an extension. I haven't heard anything about that. My dad says 10 wins gets you to the postseason. Probably, but
Does it though?
I think it does. What was our record last year?
It was 10-7.
Okay.
Wasn't it?
Sure. I think perhaps the Jets maybe beat up some more teams. Like they maybe push the Patriots one spot down or something. I don't know.
Okay, so according to DraftKings Nation, wait, it just changed. What the heck? Where'd it go? Okay. So most difficult schedule, according to DraftKings and their implied odds, is the Patriots, Dolphins, Chiefs, Bills, Raiders, Vikings, Cardinals, Chargers.
I'm sorry, what was that, 9th?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8th. So according to DraftKings, they have the 8th most difficult schedule in the league.
Yeah, it's just going to be the division they're in.
Yeah, and in general, it's the AFC. I mean, the only
Yeah.
the only NFC teams in there are the Vikings and the Jets, who are in the top 10.
Where are the Eagles?
Oh, the Eagles are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The Eagles are the 10th easiest, so 20th most difficult.
Well, enjoy the Super Bowl run.
Easiest schedules according to DraftKings: the Falcons, NFC; Saints, NFC; Niners, NFC; Bears, NFC; Panthers, NFC; Texans, Colts, Lions, NFC; Eagles, NFC.
I love how the two AFC teams are just there because they play
I know.
Like that's the only reason.
Because they're
Each other.
shit.
Oh
man, I was listening to the Athletic Football Show, and they were like doing like quarterback situation hierarchy, and it was like it was a rough listen. Like if you go through like
really?
the quarterback situations in the NFC, it's insane. And like you can make a legit argument that the 10 best quarterbacks in the league are all in the AFC.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally just hurts, right? Prescott, I guess.
Depending how you feel about Dak, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Kyler's injured, like, and I don't think he's a top 10 guy anyway. Stafford, who the heck knows at this point what he's like.
Right. Oh, so, man, people are really asking for a record prediction.
I'm not comfortable enough to do that right now at this time.
It's going to be whatever I think it is -1.
I think the Chargers do end up in like a similar range in terms of win losses as last year. But I think they'll look better. Like I think the Chargers will be a better team, but I think the record will not change as much because last year, like if you look at EPA per play and like DVOA, they were not lining up with like a 10-win playoff team, and a lot of that was due to injuries, obviously. So I do think we'll see the Chargers be much more efficient and explosive, be a better football team overall, but I'm gonna have a hard time predicting more than like 11 wins tops, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it'll be, for the most part, and I think a lot of people are starting to feel this way. They have to earn it, and I think I'd love to say 13 wins. You know, I'd love to honestly say 12 wins, but yeah, as Briar's pointing out, I'm worried about buying into the hype again this year, but I hope that they get over the hump. Health is a must this year. I mean, do they even have a trainer yet? Do they even hire somebody on yet?
I'm sure they do. I mean, they've been practicing and everything like that. I just don't think they've announced.
Yeah. Tentatively 10-7, I think, which is more pessimistic than I think they could, but it's just there's always the game or two where we go, how'd they do that? What happened? Okay, I'm definitely not going 5 wins though, Scott. I'm definitely more optimistic than that.
Yeah.
But I am more worried. I feel better about the team this year. And obviously the no cracked rib. You know, but things could start slow. Kellen Moore is trying to make something happen. And this is something we see that, you know, it ramps up after the bye. Yay, like the Chargers are the best team since the bye, but they lost 2 of their first 4 games or something. So well, we'll see.
I mean, like sheer probability would indicate that they'll be healthier this year. We've seen obviously Joey Bosa's track record is kind of that he alternates years where he's very healthy and very not. You know, and there are other cases too. So I think they'll be healthier this year. The chances that Justin Herbert plays injured most of the season are very, very slim. You add Quentin Johnson on offense. Rashawn Slater should be back. So the Chargers will be better. Like if they had just the personnel changes, and even if they had brought Joe Lombardi back, I think you would feel better about their team. But you're swapping Joe Lombardi out for Kellen Moore too.
Yeah,
So,
which is huge.
Yeah. So there's Colin Cowherd, I think, had the Chargers like as his third best team in the AFC. That's too rich. And saying like 5 wins is also, I think, too pessimistic. I think the Chargers floor, like realistically, is probably like 8 wins. Like, if the team stays like relatively healthy, they should win at least 8 games, if not more.
Yeah. I'll say 10-7 for those that are asking. I'll say 10-7, but ask me again before the season starts. Show me that Herbert has progressed through his surgery and all that sort of stuff. I want to see what this offense looks like in training camp. Are we doing curls and screens? Which hey, if you're efficient at it, go for it. But what does Quentin Johnson look like? Is JC going to start by week 3? I don't know. So a lot of questions. So I'll say 10-7 for now. I don't think it's a 9-win team. I just hope for the best. Hope for the health.
Yeah. If the team stays relatively healthy like they should, I think you're probably looking at 10 or 11 wins.
Yeah. And it's tough because, like as Bard is pointing out, they were 10-7 last year with Herbert's crushed ribs, throwing to kick returners and backups and all that sort of stuff. I just think the schedule is
so much harder. It's much harder.
I don't know if it's a legit strength of schedule difference. I don't know where the Chargers were last year versus this year, but I mean, Dolphins, Titans, Vikings, Raiders, Cowboys, Chiefs, Bears, Jets, Lions, Packers, Ravens, Patriots, Broncos, Raiders, Bills, Broncos, Chiefs. Like that's a lot of freaking stacked talent there. And even the Dolphins, a team I think they can beat. Now they've got Fangio. Now they've got Jalen Ramsey. And that's, we've seen Herbert do good against that. We've seen Herbert do not so hot against that.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I mean, like things can change during the season. Like obviously it's hard to predict a team like the Rams, like imploding to injury like they did last year. But I mean, heading into the season, we knew the Texans were going to be bad. We knew the Browns were going to be bad. We knew the Falcons were going to be bad. We knew the Cardinals were not going to be very good. The Colts were not going to be good. The Titans were not going to be great. So like that's right there, like 8 games that were extremely winnable for the Chargers. And I just think there's way more difficult games this year.
Yeah, and the Chargers also kind of lucked themselves into playing some teams with their backup quarterbacks at the time for whatever reason. Like they just did not have to play the better guy. I mean, that's the stretch of Colts and Rams, and I can't remember the other team.
Yeah.
But there were some guys where it's like, of course they're going to beat those teams. They're not even playing their starting quarterbacks. So,
yeah, I mean, Broncos at the end of the season, like you probably really didn't think that they were going to be very good at that point. So, I don't blame anybody who's a little pessimistic after last season. I do think that there's just like a sheer probability that this team's going to be healthier than last year. You add Quentin Johnston, you add Kellen Moore, the offense should be more explosive, more efficient. So, this is it's a balance, right? Like, I don't think you should go full Colin Cowherd and say they're the 3rd best team in the AFC, but this is going to be a team that's going to be contending for the playoffs. If things go well for them, they definitely have the talent to, go make a run in the playoffs, but they just, like you said earlier, they have to prove it before we can like really predict that happening.
Yeah. And we'll get the whole, or at least I will, the whole pessimistic sort of thing for not picking 17-0, but again, just last year's ending was so different, and it was so different, and talking to all the fans on social media in person, it was just different. Everybody left that final game like how much more excited could we have gotten for last year? And it just didn't go at all. Like whether it's the whole season or just in that game against the Jaguars, we all left kind of feeling like idiots. And so I think a lot of people are being more apprehensive this year, unless you're Colin Cowherd. Although I could see 4th. Like I think 4th would be fair.
He's normally very pessimistic about the Chargers, even though he's like really close with Tom Telesco. But I think objectively, like you look at the NFC, and I think for me, it's like Chiefs, Bills, Bengals, like they've each proven enough over the last 2-3 seasons to say like, yeah, like they're the best teams right now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so, if, the Chargers can sneak into that group, then great. Like, obviously, we'll be very happy with that. But I understand too why people would say, man, I'm going to wait and see what they prove first.
Yeah. And, if the Chiefs, like, I'd guess they go 13 wins or 12 wins. Are
Yeah.
the Chargers also in that tier? I don't think so. Not yet. Not until they prove it to me. Again, not trying to be a hater. I'll be at the games, spending a lot of money to go to these games with you guys.
Yeah.
But, if you think the Chiefs are a 13-win team, the Chargers are probably not a 12-win team. They're probably like 11.
And I thought the Chiefs, like heading into last season, were not like, I thought that last year was the year where they would kind of struggle to like be the clear cut best team in the AFC and win the division clearly. And we were all, sipping the Kool-Aid when it came to the Chargers. I mean, I think I had them winning 12 games in the division. I think you did as well. I mean, even Alex was super optimistic about the Chargers heading into last season. So it's just, we're excited 100%, but the team has to prove it first.
Yeah. I mean, again, week 1 will change everything. My records prediction before the season is whatever it is, but then week to week, we all, loss, win, whatever. So it doesn't really matter in the end. Our rankings or our projections for the whole postseason were awful. I think
all three of us picked the Chargers to beat the Jaguars.
Oh, we definitely did that. That's for sure. I think I think Alex hedged his bet on that one. I think Arjun picked a win.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, we were ready to go beat Kansas City. Oops,
so close.
My mom and I were looking at how to get to Kansas City halfway through that
too,
Jaguars game, man.
I was too.
We were about to book flights, and then the rest is history. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, it should be a lot of fun, man. I'm excited for this. We'll do like game by game predictions once we get closer towards the season. Once we get into like that July range, we'll do full on predictions for, we always do statistical predictions for the team, game by game breakdown predictions. So, it's going to be a lot of fun. And this year we'll have access to training camp. So, we'll be able to be right there on the sidelines with the team, with the players a few times in the summer. So it should be a lot of fun. All right, Tyler, any final thoughts before we head out for the evening?
I need the content to keep coming through because we're inching towards that month of June and it's going to stink. So hopefully the Chargers keep bringing some stuff for us. But we'll have some interviews along the way. Not another Telesco one. It's not that I know of.
Yes, we had the Telesco interview this week. It hit 10,000 views. So thank you everybody for tuning in and watching that. Appreciate that. The feedback from that interview has been mostly very, very positive. So again, thank you for all of your support there. Chargers rookie mini camp is happening starting tomorrow. So hopefully we'll get some more stuff from there. And then we're a few weeks away from the overall mini camp, and then we'll have some other stuff along the way. So June is always the dead period, but we'll get there. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, and then obviously we'll be ramping up towards training camp. So should be a lot of fun. Should be a lot of fun, not fun. I don't know what the heck happened there.
Thunder.
Chargers Short Clips has some on rookies apparently already. So shout out to Solo Man in the chat. He was the first one to point out that Scott Matlock signed his rookie contract today, along with Quentin Johnston. So Chargers getting the first round pick signed much earlier than usual this year.
Yeah. Was it Rashawn that had obviously Joey had the holdout, and there was someone else we were worried about. Was it Rashawn?
Rashawn took the longest because the new CBA, like there's no holdouts. So rookie contracts are very, very standard. So, but it's never been this early. Quentin signing before minicamp is very rare.
Yay.
So shout out to him.
Cool.
And shout out to all of you guys for tuning in tonight. Appreciate all of the comments. The chat has been a lot of fun tonight. We'll be going live on Saturday this week with some takeaways from rookie minicamp. Again, we'll have some press conferences tomorrow, most likely, that we can talk about some things about these rookies that are coming into camp. And then we'll be having our usual episode over on the Chargers feed on Tuesday morning. So be sure to set those reminders, subscribe to their channel if you aren't already. Make sure you subscribe to ours, like the video, comment, let us know what you think. If you feel like doing a record prediction video, go for it, and we'll see what we'll respond to you guys. So thanks so much for tuning in tonight, guys. That's going to do it. We will see you on Saturday for our next episode.
I won't respond to you. Bye.